What am I saying again?
This is MPW,
MPW.
the podcast
with your host,
Xylo Aria. Cool.
a podcast about music production
for the everyday musician,
where we learn from experienced studio engineers and each other.
Claire Murphy is a backline and guitar tech and has recently finished teching with Vance Joy as support to Pink on her stadium tour across Europe. She's also toured with Ravionettes, Therapy, Dum Dum Girls and The Answer. On top of this, Claire runs Trash Tours, which provide the live music industry with storage facilities, crew and loads more. All right, well, jumping right into the getting to know you section, Claire. So I'd love to hear a random fact about you that maybe not many people know in the music industry.
I would start with, it's assumed because I'm British that I drink a lot of tea, and I actually don't drink tea anymore. I haven't had tea for years. I just drink coffee. So that's, everyone assumes that I drink tea and I love it. And I moved over here, started drinking coffee and haven't looked back. So the secret's out of the bag.
I wonder if the Brits will forgive you. Okay, was that just like after you left the UK? You were just like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore and there's no pressure.
I like tea. Well, actually, the reason was I went vegan a couple of years ago. And so I didn't find that any alternative milks worked well in a cup of tea. It just didn't taste the same as the 30 odd years I've been drinking tea. So I just stopped it. And
you know what? I can definitely relate to that because I have not enjoyed tea as much after I stopped buying cow's milk as well. So whenever I go back to my parents' place, because they already have it in the fridge, that's when I have like a proper cup of tea.
Yeah. And at the beginning, I used to do that too. I used to be like, okay, whatever, I'll have it, and it would taste great. And now I'm pretty strict, so I won't have it. And they're like, what's wrong with you? You've moved to LA and you come back and you eat salads and don't drink tea.
Oh no. Well, hopefully they can look past that after a little while. Cool. Okay, well, now we'll go to a bit of time travel. So is there an event in your life that you would change? And if not change, then is there an event in your life that you feel like you've learned the most from?
I almost want to say I would have started trying to get into this industry a lot sooner. I went to university back when there weren't really any courses on music. It was all like music theory and playing guitar or playing piano. Nothing to do with the audio production side of things. I found one course and I did it because I didn't really have any avenue into getting on tour, and I wanted to work in music. I wouldn't have gone to university, and I would have immediately gone straight to like London and gone down the path that I did, but 10 years sooner. But actually, I think going to university gave me a great grounding and a work ethic. So I wouldn't change that, but it still took me another 10 years of, do I want to do that? Can I do that? How do I do that? I would have just gone for it a lot sooner. Because if I was 10 years where I am now 10 years ago, I can't even imagine like where I'd be in another 10 years. But saying that, I believe everything happens for a reason at the right time. So But I do often think, God, if I'd really gone for it when I was 20, where would I be now? The message to take from that is, just go for it. Go for whatever you're trying to do, or go all in.
It's funny how often that comes up actually from our guests, of that being the one thing. And I wonder if it's in our music education system where you don't really hear about all the other avenues that are available
100%.
in music. And
No one ever said to me you could make a career out of touring with a band. It was always like, oh, she goes to see concerts all the time. That's, her thing, her hobby is going to concerts. Oh, well, actually, if we start telling children that you can do this as a career, oh, right, okay, so you have an interest in guitar or drums, oh yeah, you can go work for your favorite band, down the line, on stage with them. It's, crazy that we don't allow any alternative careers.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I feel like it's something that could be improved in all schooling systems around music.
Yeah, I think that's where I need to target my my efforts when I want to get more women into touring and into backline specifically. And I'm at a loss as to why there aren't that many female guitar techs, for example. It's like, why is that? Plenty play guitar, but I think growing up, you don't know. So you got to get it at the education level.
Well, I wish you all the best for that, because any support that women can get to kind of change that, I think it's great. And even just hopefully people hearing you talk about this today will help that as well. All right. So if you were on a desert island and you could only pick 3 songs or albums to bring with you, what would they be?
Well, I think you got to go for albums, right? Because then you get 3 times 12 songs. You're selling yourself short if you only take 3 songs. Well, my favorite band in the entire world is Garbage. So I would probably take their second album, version 2.0. Okay. Classic. Then I would take a Silvers on Pickups album. I love that band. I just had the pleasure of working for them a couple of months ago. They are amazing, amazing people. I would probably take the singles. They've got a singles album. Again, classic, full of classics. And then I think a band called Unwritten Law. I don't know if you know them. They are like a heavy punk rock band, I guess you'd call them. They're from Southern California. I knew them back in the 90s, and their album Elva is amazing. I put it on every time I need to clean the apartment. It's a great album. I would be happy to be on a desert island with those 3.
Okay. You seem pretty confident with your answers. That's good. That's good. So who would you say has been your greatest role model?
Well, the first person that comes to mind is the singer of Garbage, Shirley Manson. Growing up, she was fierce, front woman, spoke her mind. Actually, in a practical sense, it would probably be the guy who was my mentor when I started doing this, my friend Mark. I basically, copied everything he did, the way he worked. And I basically it's like, what would Mark do? Would he go the extra mile for this? Would he do it? Yes, he always would. He's, the best person I know at, my job. So I think it would be him. He's a great guy who's the best person to look up to. That's all I can say. I can't gush about him anymore.
That's so lovely. It's great to have those sort of mentors.
I honestly wouldn't be here without him.
That's great. That's lovely. So getting into the next bit on your career as a backline and guitar tech. So can you start off with explaining what is that? So when you say backline tech, what does that actually mean?
Backline tech looks after, so everything on the stage, it's amplifiers, drums, keyboards, that's all called backline. So you watch a band, if they're playing an instrument, that's all backline. If you're on a smaller tour, there's usually one person who's looking after all of that. If you're on a bigger tour, each member generally gets their own tech. So then you have a drum tech, you have a keyboard tech, a guitar tech, and then you're in charge of looking after, either that person's instruments and amplifiers, or you're in charge of looking after everything and getting everything set up and making sure everything works, making sure it feels the same, sounds the same every day for the artist. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. And is it usually you working most closely with the artist, or who is it that decides that you're going to be the one on the project?
The artist, directly for them. I mean, you get hired through management, but and recommended through peers, tour managers or whoever you've worked with. But essentially it comes down to the artist, because that's who you're dealing with. It's the closest thing. You are there. If something's wrong, you got to fix it. You have to make it right. You have to make them comfortable.
Yeah. I would suspect that there's a big focus on that relationship as well, because even as someone who's done some very small shows in comparison, like it's so important to feel comfortable with what you have on stage. And I'm sure when you're playing arenas and things, that's like 1,000 times amplified, and to feel comfortable with the person and have trust in the person who's doing that would be so important.
It's huge. Probably like 80% of the job, because no one ever calls me and asks me like, what exactly can you fix? What exactly, like how quickly can you load in? How quickly can you load out? It comes down to, you do a couple of shows. If they like you and if you vibe, you're pretty much in there. And of course you have to have all the skills too, but there's a lot of things around it that is not skills based. You have to have the right attitude. You have to have the right work ethic. You have to have the right personality. And it doesn't always work with different artists. It's not like you might work with one artist and it's great. You work with another artist and you don't get on with them, and you move on and it's fine. And so that's when you get to working with the right artist, you generally stay with them for quite a while, because it is a close working relationship. You with them every day, and they're on stage. They need to know that if they turn to you, that you're there and you're looking at them, and something is going to break, you're going to go fix it.
Okay, cool. So thinking about that from two perspectives, so the kind of technical skills that you need and then the soft skills that you need to build, how would you say someone would build their technical skills in this field?
These days, it's YouTube, I think. I mean, you can learn everything on YouTube. It's crazy how much is out there. I mean, you don't even need to do a course anymore. There is a course a friend of mine did. I think it's like a week long. They take you into a venue and they teach you how to like load in, set up the stage, how to coil a cable, all the basic things. And I was thinking about this morning, and I was thinking you could probably just go do that, and then you go out into the world, because you learn a lot of touring skills on tour. It's one of those where you can't learn it in a classroom or reading about it. You can get a good head start. You need to go out there and do it. And then when it comes to like fixing guitars or restringing guitars or whatever, it's practice. So you can do that at home. There are courses for that. They're out there now. When I started, they weren't. But I learned a lot of stuff on YouTube. I'm like, wait, how do I do that? Oh, okay. You type it in, and there's like 20 videos on how to do it. And okay, well, I'll just pick the top 3 and then make it up from there. But because it's trial and error, a lot of the time. I'm a huge fan of YouTubing now. And then, asking other people. But I hate going down that rabbit hole of everybody's got an opinion. And a lot of people are not on tour.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. That's very true.
I think it really depends what avenue you're going down, because, you can learn to build a guitar at home, but you can't learn to mix a stadium show at home. You can't learn to mix a show at home, I don't think. I think you need to like go and get hands-on experience. And a lot of touring is hands-on. You just got to go out there. You got to feel vulnerable for a while until you learn. And then, and then away you go.
Right. So then if there's no sort of course that gets you there specifically on the technical side of things, how would you recommend someone get a foot in the door?
Yeah, it's tough. I did write a book on how to get into touring.
Okay.
And the basic outline is you need to be available to just go and jump on a tour when it comes up. And for me, it was, you basically have to be available for like 6 months where you can just drop anything and go. So my thing was save up 6 months worth of rent. You probably have to be like sharing a house and paying, cheap rent, stay with your parents, whatever you need to do. So you can sit around and go bug people. You can go through Facebook. You can go meet up with people. It's networking, it's connecting. Go knock on venue doors. You go do everything you can. And then one day you'll get a call and they'll be like, someone's dropped out. Can you come and do this? And the problem most people have is that they need to pay their bills and they need to be in a job. And who's going to leave their secure job when they've got bills to pay to go randomly on the road when they don't know, like, you're probably going to get paid nothing. And it's like, well, I can't afford to do that. Is this going to lead to something? Am I going to have work for months? When I first started, I had like 2 or 3 months work during the summer. If I wasn't able to just sit around and wait for the next call, I'd have been in a job. And would I have been able to go jump on the next tour? So you need to give yourself a set amount of time where it's like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. Because you will get that call. If you bug me and you bug other people, like, don't bug me, but if you're the last couple of people I've spoken to on Instagram or whatever, I'm going to remember. Because, we're looking for people all over the place. Like, so many calls this year that I could have passed on. At this point, they'll take new people because there's such a lack of crew. You've got to be available and keen and willing to go, and not like, well, I've got to be back on Friday for my weekend job. No, we'll find someone else. It's pretty cutthroat. So that's how I think you get into it. It's not like, well, you go through this career progression, this course of 3 years, and at the end of it, you might find a job. It doesn't work like that for my side of things. And I managed to worm my way in. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I love that. I love hearing that. And it sounds so much like just building that network is so vital, just like so many other parts of the industry and working in that. Yeah. We talked about the technical side. Then is there anything that you'd recommend to build your soft skills to try and maybe, I don't know if you call it win more jobs or just kind of be able to get along with people on tour?
I mean, it's tough. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I'm still 40 and I'm still working on it. So, I wouldn't ask me. But I think having the right work ethic, just remember your place and just work really hard, and don't get on your second tour and think you've made it. It's hard to tell someone in their 20s to like look after themselves and look after their mind and body and exercise and don't drink too much and whatever. But this is a professional job that we're doing, especially at the level I'm at, where it's serious business. You can't be turning up drunk, be turning up late. You have to look after yourself and to bring the best version of you. I would say take it seriously and work on yourself as much as you can. But I know what it's like in your 20s, and you get excited if you're on a tour. So be aware, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's good to know that it sounds like, a lot of it you kind of develop with experience and just being
and age.
Again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can be hard on other people, and then it's like, well, they're just young, they don't know. I remember when I was in my 20s, it's different.
So then looking at when you get on tour and all of the things that you need to be on top of with your job as well, is there a particular way that you keep track on everything that needs to be done?
It's usually up here in the mind, but I actually do have a notebook for each band that I work for. If it's like, a long-term band that I'm working for, and making notes, because there's a lot to do and a lot to remember. And the older I get, I'm like, I'm not taking any chances anymore. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to write it down. Like after sound check, I'm like, I've got so many things to do. I've got to change batteries. I've got to like make notes. So I do it every day. After sound check, I make a list of things I got to do because I'll forget. And it could be something pretty important. So simply making a list and then making notes of everything I do so that it's consistent down the line. Where I'm like, what did we do on that day? Oh, we used that guitar for that song. Okay. And I'll keep all my set lists in case there's like a random song in there that I have to go back to refer to. So notes to be organized. I think that's my thing. Writing out like a stringing schedule so I know what I should be doing every day, not leaving it to chance.
So talking about when you're on tour, maybe on the day of a performance, is there a sort of schedule that's fairly similar on all performance days, or is it different?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same every day to within an hour, I'd say. I normally start at 9 when we load in the backline. Lights and audio go in earlier, 7 or 8. They start getting set up because they take up all the stage and we're in each other's way otherwise. So yeah, between 9 and say 1 or 2, we have time to set up the stage, which sounds like a lot of time, but it's actually not. It takes that much time. And then we'll line check. So me and the other techs will just go through all the instruments and make sure everything works and all the lines are plugged in and nothing's funky. And then say around 2 or 3 o'clock, the band will come on and do their sound check. Depends on the band, how long they go. It could be a song to like an hour. And then sometimes we'll strike the stage, sometimes the stage stays as it is, and then the support bands will come along, set their gear up, they'll do their sound check, then the doors, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, support band goes on, main band goes on, and then we put it all back in the truck, and it's pretty much exactly the same every day.
Yeah, I see. And when you are on tour, or if you're kind of getting into something like this, are there any specific types of equipment that you need to have knowledge about, or is it once you know a few general things, that's kind of okay?
I can't speak for other roles, but for guitar tech, you kind of want to know the basics of, not every guitar tech plays guitar, but it certainly helps. You kind of want to be able to play a little bit so you can play in line check. You want to know how to set up a guitar. You want to know the basics of how a guitar is put together. So why is this making a buzz here? Oh, it's maybe a pickup, or maybe it's a fret or the nuts, so you can troubleshoot. that kind of thing. But there's also like a ton of different amplifiers, a ton of different guitar types. There's a ton of different pedals. And there's no way that I know every single, you know, there are techs that are complete geeks. And my friend Mark is a complete geek. And I'm like, there is no way my brain is taking in all of that. You know, mainly it's like signal path. So it's like, where is it going? So if something goes wrong, how do I fix it? You know, so just basically knowing how the stuff is working, not necessarily like, I'm not going to be able to fix a pedal, for example, but you need a basic understanding of, I mean, I worked in a guitar shop, and I think that's where I got my knowledge from, because I was selling everything. So I can give a basic overview of anything guitar-wise.
No, that's good to know. I guess sort of more generalist knowledge is good to
just get going, get on tour, because it's, like I said, it's maybe 20% skills and 80% personality and you know, not breaking stuff, not losing stuff, not being a dick to your crew members, not like, all of those things almost are more important, if you know what I mean. It's like you can be the best luthier in the world, but if you don't want to load a truck, well, that's no good to the rest of the crew, you know. So more skills the better, you know, and I'm constantly learning stuff, but it's not the be all and end all.
I feel like that's with so many jobs in a way, you know, it's more around attitude and actually being organized and all of that kind of thing. Often the skills can be taught, but the other way around is really hard when you have lots of skills but a terrible attitude. It doesn't work. Okay. So then looking at, you know, the shows going on, and I assume for the most part you're troubleshooting everything as much as possible before the artist goes on stage. I assume sometimes things go wrong and during the performance something happens and everyone's kind of trying to fix that. Do you have any stories around that, and how did you deal with that situation?
Luckily, thank God, it's only really happened to me once where there was a show-stopping moment, from my point of view, from my world. And it was with Vance Joy and one of our switching units. He has like a pedal that switches, and it just stopped working. There was no reason for it to stop working. So I had to go over and say, you need to come off stage for a minute while I look at this. So I had to pull the band off stage. I reset the unit and it was fine, and we went back on. And aside from that, and maybe a string breaking a couple of times, I've had like maybe 3 strings break on me. Nothing catastrophic has happened, thank God. I mean, a lot of times in not sound check, but in our line check, you'll be like, oh, something's not plugged in, or oh, this isn't working, that isn't working, and you fix it at that point. You got to make it work before the band walks on. But thank God nothing's actually really badly happened during the show.
Okay.
Because there's like 7,000 eyes on you, or 14,000 eyes on you. On that same tour, we did have some audio issues with a PA, just kind of almost blew up, and again we had to stop the show and kind of reset the desk, and it's nerve-wracking, but you kind of just go into like, not panic mode, but like you just got to fix it immediately.
In that situation where that switching device stopped working or whatever, did you know straight away what had happened, or did it take some time to troubleshoot?
I still don't know what happened, because it kept working for the rest of its time with us. I still have the same one now. It just one day just...
Yeah, as in, did you know that was the issue straight away, or did you have to come...
Yeah, just because I was literally doing it on my end and it was not working.
Right. Okay.
So I was like, oh, this isn't working. This should be working.
Okay. Yeah. So things happen and you do your best to fix it. Yeah. So then looking a bit at like lifestyle type of things, how do you spend your time away from tour? Because I know, speaking to a couple of other people that have worked in other parts of the touring industry, they've said interesting things about when you come back and feels like you've kind of left your life for so long and you don't really know sometimes where home is or something like that.
You definitely don't know what day it is. And I was only away for like 12 days on this last run, but I came back into the kitchen and was like, wait, how do I cook again? What? Like I completely forgot how to cook something basic. I was like, oh God, because we don't cook anything. It's all catered, or you're eating out. You're just living in this alternative reality where you just, everything's taken care of for you. You don't do a dish. You don't, you don't cook anything. And then you come back and you have to try and reintegrate into taking the dog for a walk, or just like sitting and watching TV with your partner, and it's like it takes a few days to get back into it. And then obviously if you're back out again, you just have to come back and just have a few days to reintegrate into society. Because people don't get it if they don't know what I do. I mean, I can tell them what I do and they don't know what I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that, do you have any recommendations on tour to stay healthy? Like you were saying, everything's catered for and that you're eating out, and like, how do you keep your body and mind sort of healthy on tour?
Yeah, I think making good food choices, because the temptations are there. Like there's always pastries and donuts. I love donuts. There's always donuts around, and just foods everywhere, and alcohol is everywhere. A lot of people have a problem. You can quickly develop a problem. And also exercising. And I'm a huge advocate for running and working out. And even I struggle at the moment. Try not to, everything in moderation. Try to look after this body, because it's long days, long hard days, and look after your mind too, because again, you've got to have that right attitude. And if you're coming in hungover and grumpy, and it's it's going to bring the vibe down. So.
All right. Well, getting into our speed quiz, Claire, are you ready? We have 5 quick fire questions.
I'm really bad at making decisions, so this is going to be awful.
All right. Well, we'll see how we go. Just do your best. Okay. So, cold weather or warm weather?
Warm weather.
Melody or lyrics?
Melody.
Festival or rave?
Festival.
Headphones or speakers?
Headphones.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Okay.
That was easy.
That was good.
Easy. Who knew I had such strong opinions about everything?
Yeah, no, that was well done. Good job. So, getting to your top tips for us, Claire. So, can you tell me what is your one top career tip?
I would say to find a mentor. Get yourself a mentor. Find someone who's doing exactly what you want to do right now, and go and be best friends with them. Do whatever you need to do, like go buy them coffee, pick their brains, and then keep in touch with them and ask them, what do I need to do to be where you are? And most people are going to be receptive to helping somebody else. And I think if you have a mentor, even once you've made it and you're on tour and you're doing whatever career you want to do, not necessarily on tour, you still need to ask questions. If someone's 10, 20 years ahead of you, they'll have done everything that you are about to do. They know exactly how to get to where you want to be. So,
okay, that's good. We will keep that in mind. And the second one is your top self-care tip.
Well, yeah, like I said, exercising, working out, just a little bit, walking, taking the stairs, things like that. Just try and keep your body in shape, because it will fail the older you get. And if you want to keep doing what you're doing, you got to look after yourself.
Yes.
She says, having done nothing for 2
Always
weeks.
good.
If you've done Ironmans before, I think that's pretty great.
I'm going to just hold on to that one for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. And for the last one, do you have one top general life tip?
As general as it can be as a freelancer, I'm going to say make sure you put your taxes in a separate account.
Okay.
What's certain? Death and taxes. Okay, well, if you exercise, then maybe you'll prolong death. You're going to have to pay taxes, so make sure you put that money away, because if you're a freelancer, you get paid and then you spend it and then you're in trouble. And I'm not speaking from experience, because I put my taxes away, but if I didn't, I'd be in trouble.
Yes, actually, yeah, that's a good tip. Not one we've had before, but it seems like a very good one. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you'll get a tax refund.
Yes, true.
Everyone's welcome.
Yeah. No, awesome. That's been really great, Claire. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, it's been interesting getting into the world of touring and what that looks like. So
people come over to the touring side. It's fun.
My biggest 3 takeaways from Claire was that it is not all about skill on the job, but it is largely about having the right attitude. And people will book you if they like working with you and if they feel that you are reliable. My second biggest takeaway was to be available. So that's what it seems got Claire a lot of her jobs. So when the opportunity comes along that you've been waiting for, then grab it with both hands. My last takeaway was to find a mentor. So find someone that is doing what you want to do already and find out how they did it. That's it from us this week. So I hope you enjoyed the episode and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.